Okay, so now that you have the 3 B's covered, you know, bread, butter, and beer, now what? Hi, welcome to my home. My name is Kathy, and today we are going to talk about what to prepare after you've gotten the 3 B's covered. And yes, I know the 3 B's does not stand for bread, butter, and beer. For those of you who may not know, the 3 B's stand for beans, band-aids, and bullets. The beans represent food. So the first thing you want to have covered in your preps is a food supply, whether that's a 2-week, a 3-month, 6-month, or a year. You want to make sure you have food on hand and water, a few days worth of water. The Band-Aids stand for medical supplies. So you want to have, Band-Aids, first aid supplies like ointments and things that you may need for, any type of cuts or abrasions, any medications that you may need, over-the-counter medicines or prescription medicines if you can get it. And then the bullets stand for safety. So you want to make sure you have your home secured and a way to protect what you have. So that's what the 3 B's stand for. This video will be the first video in a series that I'm doing on what to have on hand, or what you may want to consider having on hand should you happen to need them. So if you weren't able to go to the store and get more, or if you needed extra of something just because you weren't able to get out, or maybe the supply just wasn't there when you did go to the store to get it. So you want to make sure some of these items you have on hand in case of those situations, or in case that there is a power outage or some type of a grid down situation. And it doesn't have to be some extraordinary thing that happens. It could just be something regional, like what happened in Texas last year, where they were without power, and some places were without water and without propane. And so it's a good idea to have some of these things on hand in case the need arises. That way you're not stuck in a situation where you're not able to take care of you and your family. So let's get started. First up, we have pet food and supplies. I feed my dogs dry dog food, so I do have dry dog food on hand. I have a very large feed bin that I store my dog food in. That way it can be rotated through on a first in, first out basis, because it does have a lot of oils in it, so it will go bad. So you wouldn't want to store a year's worth of dog food if it's dry kibble. So what I do for long term is I store canned dog food. This doesn't have any added like rice or anything like that in it. And then that way I'd be able to use a can of this dog food with some cooked rice as a filler. And I'd be able to feed that to my dogs if I were in a situation where I ran out of the dry dog food and I wasn't able to get more. So if you're looking for a way to store cat food or your dog food long term, then the canned route is the way to go. As well as dog food, you're going to want to make sure you have a supply of any supplements that they may be taking. In addition to the supplements, if your dog was, or your cat, or your pet in general, and I guess this could go for any animal that you have at your home. I also have just some calming chews, because if you're in a situation where the people are stressed, then your dogs could be stressed as well. So it's not bad to have on hand. Another thing to have on hand would be extra leashes and collars, and also tie-outs. So if you have a dog that you normally don't tie up, you may find yourself in a situation where you do need to tie that dog up because maybe there's a fence that blew down and you weren't able to repair it right away, or you needed to evacuate your home for whatever reason. It's nice to be able to have those tie-outs so that your dogs can stay safe when you're in an area that you can't have them contained. I also have dog brushes and nail clippers. So maybe you don't trim your dog's or your animal's nails yourself. Maybe currently you take it to the groomer to have them brushed and their nails done. You want to consider having some of these supplies on hand in case you're not able to get your dog or your cat or whatever pet you have. Maybe you're not able to get them the care they need outside of the home. This way you'd be able to do it yourself. And lastly, in this category, I would say to have some pet toys. Being able to give your pet a new toy is so calming for them and just lifts their spirits. And so I think that's a good thing to have on hand. Okay, next up is water. So you will of course want to have some water on hand. This would be part of your 3 B's. It's the bean part with food and at least 3 days worth of water for each person. And that can be accomplished with just the individual bottled water, some gallons of water. Maybe you have some larger jugs filled with water. But water is one of those things that it's you need so much of it to stay healthy, to rehydrate yourself, and then also use for bathing and cooking. And so in addition to having water on hand, you'll need to be able to resupply that water and make that water usable. So for those of you who are on a well, you probably don't have to worry about where you're going to get your water from, as long as you have a way to get that water out of the ground. So if you have a power outage, as long as you have some type of a backup power for that well, you're not going to have to worry about water. Where others of us, where we don't have a well, we may have to tap into a local stream or a river or a pond or a lake, where the water may not be as pristine as you'd want it in order to drink. So for those cases, you're going to need to be able to purify that water. Liquid bleach is one thing that you can use for purifying water to make it drinkable. But bleach does have a shelf life, so it's not going to be something that you keep in your long-term supplies. But something like pool shock can be mixed up and used as a bleach solution. This does not have a shelf life, and so it takes very little of it to make up a gallon of a bleach solution that you could then use to purify water. Another thing to have on hand is filters. So this is just a life straw. You can also get other filter systems like Sawyer. I think I have a Sawyer, and I have another kind that I keep in my camping gear. You'll definitely want to have a way to be able to filter out your water. I also have a Berkey that I can use for in the house. If you don't want to get a Berkey, or you can't get a Berkey, you can get the filters that are used in the Berkey type systems, and you can make your own with a couple of 5-gallon buckets. There are numerous videos out there on YouTube showing how to make your own water filter system. So if that's something you're going to be needing, or you think you might need, that would be a good thing to look into and research how to make your own, or invest in getting one for yourself. So another thing you may want to consider is something like this water bob. What this does is, if you know that there's going to be an issue with drinking water or potential issue, so you'd be able to put this in your bathtub, fill it with water, and then you would have fresh, untainted water to be able to drink or do whatever you needed to do with it. Okay, the next thing you're going to want to have on hand is paper products. In addition to paper plates and cups that you'll want to have on hand, say the power's out for, for a few days, it sure would be nice to be able to just have some paper plates and cups to use so that you're not accumulating a bunch of dishes. So in addition to the paper plates and cups, you'll want to have things like paper towels, toilet paper, Kleenex. If you're limited on space, you may want to consider getting something like this. These are paper pods. This particular kit came with some little holders so that you could put those in. They're very small. They're about the diameter of a nickel, so they're very small and compact. And to use them, you would just add a very small amount of water. And then look, you just open it up. And then what you're left with is a nice size towelette that you could use for wiping your face or wiping your bum or cleaning. They're actually very strong. And so this might be something you would want to consider having on hand. Because like I said, this has, I believe, about 500 of these towelette in them. So you can see there's quite a bit in there. And they have, I think there's multiple things you can use these for. And would be very good to have on hand. I keep one of these containers in my purse. And then that way, if we are out exploring or out for the day, and if I end up somewhere where I just need a towelette for whatever reason, then I know I have it on my person and it takes up, very little space. The next and last category for today's video is cleaning supplies. Here I have an example of some different cleaners. You want to make sure you have some multi-surface type cleaners. Dish soap, white vinegar makes a good all-around natural cleaner. You want some laundry detergent. And for long-term storage, you may want to consider having some products on hand that you can use for making your own laundry soap. If you're limited on space, just like with the powdered pool shock for making a bleach solution for purifying water. They also have these Steramine tablets. This one bottle has 150 tablets in it. By putting 1 to 2 tablets in a gallon of water, it'll make a gallon of sanitizing multi-purpose solution. You could use that for cleaning, surfaces or dishes. This would be a really good solution for those who have limited space. Buy a couple of bottles of this, and that would be enough to make 75 to 150 gallons of multi-purpose sanitizing solution. Another item in the cleaning category that you may want to consider having on hand would be scrubbers and sponges, cleaning cloths, and gloves for protecting your hands. Well, I hope you found today's video helpful. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified the next time I put out a new video. Because next week's video is going to be 4 more items of things you may want to consider putting in your preps. Well, until next time, I hope you have an amazing day, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye now.